How's it going, guys? Winner Kills here, and welcome to a brand new test hand video. Today we're going to be covering Infinitrack Trains, a deck that I've recently just profiled. So if you want to see what my deck list looks like that I'm using here in this video, there should be a link to it down in the description below or annotated somewhere in the video or at the end in the last 20 seconds of the video. So go ahead and check that out if that interests you. And of course, if you want to see what kind of list that I'm running. I've also been testing this deck a lot lately on my stream, and there's some changes that I'll probably talk about that I made on my stream build versus the one that I'm going to be using in this video, and why I kind of want to make those changes. So link to my Twitch down below also. And lastly, if you guys want to help support the channel, do consider checking out Imperium Duelist. That's where my sleeves are from on my main and extra deck, and also my mat is from there as well. And if you want to support the channel and also get some amazing stuff out of it in the process, highly recommend you guys check out Imperium Duelist, a link to the site down in the description, as well as a discount code that you can use to save 10% off your entire order at checkout. And if you're buying anything on TCG Player, please do not forget to use my affiliate link. You can find that down in the description below as well. Basically, anytime you guys use that link for any cards you'd already be buying, a small bit of the revenue will go back into the channel, which does help out greatly. And lastly, if you're interested in seeing behind the scenes content, early videos, and deck profiles, consider clicking that join button down below for more information and possibly becoming a member of the channel today. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get to these test hands. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start shuffling up here and get ready for our first test hand. One thing I do want to mention in regards to my stream build is one of the main differences between this one and that one is that my online build is playing 2 copies of Machina Metal Cruncher as opposed to just the Spin Turn and Drag Shovel, which I was going to run in this build, but I think for the sake of this video, since this is a test hand video, we are trying to test things out, I'm going to proxy for now the Drag Shovel and the Spin Turns as copies of Machina Metal Cruncher. And for those that don't know what that card does, I'll put a picture of it here up on the screen. But yeah, I think it's a pretty nice consistency card to add to the deck. And I think if I had to either choose between which cards I'd want to draw for turn, whether it be Spin Turn or Drag Shovel or Metal Cruncher, I'd probably have to say I would choose Metal Cruncher just because of that. The consistency factor that it adds to the deck. It does have its downsides for sure. I wish it was a level 10. I wish dead drawing at late game wasn't really bad. But then again, we're not always trying to get to the late game, even though it does happen more times than not with trains. But let's go ahead and draw into our first hand here. We'll do some going first, some going second hand, just to mix things up here. For this one, we'll do going first. Our hand is really, really good here. We see the Harvester with the Derek Crane, and seeing these 2 cards together is great because that means we can chain block the Harvester with the Derek Crane because we are using those TCG rulings. So we'll normal summon Harvester, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, Derek Crane. We'll summon the Derek Crane to the field, and now we'll use the effect of Harvester to go ahead and search out a copy of... we can go for Trencher here. Doesn't really make too big of a difference. We just want to make sure that for the most part, we have another target in deck, a level 5 Infinitrack target in deck to be able to resolve the Dozer, which we still do at this point. We'll tribute the Harvester off for the Dozer, and we'll summon the Tunneler from the deck. Now, if we want to, we can just get the Trencher in play just by tributing off the Tunneler for the Trencher. And then when we go ahead and overlay here for Stormer, you know, we can get the Trencher in graveyard. But before we use Stormer's effect, I think it would be safe to summon out Bullet Train from the hand and go ahead and overlay for number 81. So if they do have something like Ash or Valor or Imperm for our River Stormer, we can chain number 81 here to protect it, to make it unaffected by card effects. So we're going to detach the Trencher from that, and we're going to send Machina Citadel to the graveyard to be able to have as an interruption that our opponent is going to have to deal with for next turn. And another thing we can do here, the play that I've been doing quite a bit, is we can link off the Stormer for Goliath, and then use the Stormer engraved to send the Goliath off to trigger the Goliath effect to either attach to the Stormer or attach to the number 81 to make so it can't be destroyed by card effects. And then basically from there, we can detach here before our turn is over with the number 81 to make either itself or the Stormer unaffected by card effects. And then at Bullet Train, we'll just add us one back in the end phase here, and we'll just add back Harvester, just so we at least have a normal summon for next turn. And if, you know, anything else happens next turn, we can basically use Tunneler to recycle our entire Infinitrack engine, to be able to draw some more cards in the process. So that's it for that turn there. Really nothing super omega impressive, but it is enough essentially for what we're trying to do. And especially as a going second deck, having a board like this is pretty nice to be able to gain access to, because it'd be pretty hard for some decks to be able to get through it, especially with a card like Citadel in the grave, which is why I like this card so much, because it gives that deck a little bit of extra protection that it needs, a little bit extra firewall protection in the form of like a potential Raigeki that we can just summon out on our opponent's turn if they destroy one of our monsters. So let's go ahead and shuffle up here again. And of course, we'll draw into another test hand. We can do another going first test hand. We can do some going second hands as well for the remaining test hands of the video. And when we do those, we can sort of simulate some boards we might go up against and some problematic cards that we might have to try and play through. But yeah, that's enough shuffling. Let's go ahead and draw into our next hand here. We have Forbidden Chalice, Psyframe Driver, Ash Blossom, Railroad Stampede, and our fifth and final card is Bullet Train, which is kind of the saving grace there. This hand is not great because we did open the Psyframe Driver, a Psychic Soldier that rides into battle, as we all know. But we can still just normal summon here, summon this back out, use this effect to make level 10, and then go ahead and overlay into a Super Dora and set Chalice with Ash in hand. It's not the best hand. It's really not a great hand at all. I mean, one thing we could also do technically is use this in the end phase to detach the Stampede, so that next turn when we use this again, we can detach the Bullet Train and be able to add back the Stampede for the following turn. And we draw Urgent Schedule, ideally for turn, and then we have that normal summon play to at least be able to make another play the following turn. And we at least have some other interruptions going with that very small board in the forms of Chalice and Droplet, or Chalice and the Ash Blossom rather, not Droplet. But you'll notice I'm also not playing Droplet in this build like the profile was. I'm trying out Chalice just because I think Chalice is good enough for this deck. I don't think we need necessarily to play Forbidden Droplet, because dealing with VFD is one of the main reasons I play the Droplet. But then again, like if they have that trap card up on their field, the Virtual World deck, then like it doesn't matter whether you have Chalice or Droplet. So I think Chalice might just be better in terms of just budget options and just like overall going to be dealing with the same cards, dealing with things the same way that Droplet would, I guess, if that makes any sense. So let's go ahead and try to do a going second test hand here. We have Impermanence, we have Switchyard, we have Urgent Schedule, we have Bullet Train, we have Derek Crane. So if we're playing against, per se, like Invoke Dogmatica, right, we can say we hit the Alistair with the Imperm, and then from there they still go Almirage, Secure Garna, and maybe follow up with an Ecclesia, and they have Punishment, End Phase, they search Fleur-de-Lis. So they have Punishment, Fleur-de-Lis, let's say, with their particular board, so that's what we're going to have to play through. We open Citadel for turn, which isn't great. It's not great at all, really, to draw this card, but it still might actually be able to come in clutch if one of our Earth Machine monsters does get destroyed by the Punishment. So that could be very, very helpful. So what we can do here is start with Switchyard, and we'll use Switchyard to discard the Citadel to get that set up in the graveyard. And then we're going to use Citadel here to grab Night Express Knight, since we don't really have any other options to be able to get. We can basically use Urgent Schedule to get access to our Infinitrack engine, because right now, I believe, would be one of the only times that we can activate the Urgent Schedule, because right now we can ideally assume they have two monsters on the field, so we could technically summon Night Express Knight, but then we'd have to put like Derek Crane or Bullet Train onto the field after that, which would give us the same amount of monsters. So we're gonna fire off Urgent Schedule here immediately, and what we're gonna do is summon out a nice little combo I usually like to do, which is Trencher, and with it, Copy of Harvester. And this combination is nice because we can go right and do a Link 2 here, and from there go ahead and summon back with the Trencher, the Harvester, to be able to search. So what we could do now, there's a few things that they could do. They could Punishment us here, but they haven't really seen us commit a normal summon, so I don't really see them having the urgency to be able to, or to want to do that, really. So what we could do instead is go ahead and link into the Doubleheader Anger Knuckle. And they also, if they read Machina Citadel, they might not want to do that, because that would trigger the effect of Citadel to summon itself to the field, and that would be able to open the entire field up for us. So with all that out of the way, we can go ahead and use the Trencher in the graveyard to summon out the Harvester, and we can go Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2 Derek Crane. Now, at this point, we said they have Fleur-de-Lis in hand, and Fleur-de-Lis doesn't target, so it would be able to break the Chainlink and negate the Harvester before it is able to resolve. So let's say they use the Fleur-de-Lis here, because I would say that would make the most sense. So Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, Fleur-de-Lis, Chainlink 3, it resolves backwards. This gets negated, this still hits the board. So this is negated, they have Fleur-de-Lis on the field, they still have a punishment set. So when exactly are they going to go ahead and use that punishment? Well, there's a lots of different times that they could use it. Let's go ahead and normal summon now the Night Express Knight, since we haven't normal summoned. We can't use the other effect of Switchyard since we used the first one. So we summon this. They see right now that we have 2 level 10s on the board. So I think at that point it's a good idea to probably go ahead and use it. So let's say they fire off their punishment. They send Entis, they pop both Freight Train and Night Express Knight. Perfect. That makes a lot of sense. So from there, we're going to go ahead and use Citadel Engrave to summon itself out. We can use Citadel's on-field effect, but we really don't need to. Because what we would have to do essentially, and well, actually, we could totally do that. We could use Citadel to blow up their whole field, since I believe Fleur-de-Lis has 2,500, and the Ecclesia would also be able to be destroyed. I believe Ecclesia can only not be destroyed by monsters that were summoned from the extra deck by battle. So the Citadel will wipe their whole field, if I'm not mistaken. And then what we can do from here is use Double-Headed Anger Knuckle to tribute this off, to summon out Derek Crane, and then we can summon out the Bullet Train from hand. And then, last but not least, we can go ahead and overlay, assuming that we've gotten through all of their interruptions, go for Gustav Max, burn for 2k, immediately follow into the Juggernaut Lieb, use its effect to detach to make it gain 2,000, and swing directly for 6,000, and that's 8,000 damage total. Now let's say they had something else to stop it from being game. Main phase 2, we could just go ahead and overlay into the Sky Thunder, and we're able to do this because we didn't resolve the Brutal Dozer this turn, so we're not locked into Earth Machines, because I believe the Brutal Dozer is the only one that does lock us into Earth Machines, and Trencher does not do that. So still able to go into the Sky Thunder. You know, we're able to detach off this and also get a pop as well if they still happen to have, if they happen to have it in the gate for the Zeus. And we also have Knuckle with Switchyard, which is just huge in terms of advantage. And of course, we can also use Bullet Train in the end phase to be able to grab back Harvester or Night Express Knight as a good follow-up there. So we're able to play through quite a bit of interruption. Now, that's how I would predict that it would resolve that whole turn, that whole interaction. But, you know, your opponent could go for punishment at very different times, or they could Fleur-de-Lis at different times. I just kind of did it as like a hypothetical scenario to show, like, you know, that we could play through, you know, a good amount of stuff. Because I think hitting the Harvester makes sense, because otherwise that'll get us access to the Dozer. And, you know, saving the Fleur for Dozer really doesn't do much more in terms of, like, shutting the board down, so you might as well hit that. And then popping, you know, once we've committed our normal summon and hitting both our level 10s also seems like it makes a bit of sense. But we just had so much advantage regardless that I don't think it would have made too much of a difference if they just had Fleur-de-Lis and the punishment. So let's go ahead and shuffle up here. We're on to our 4th test hand of the video, which I believe the second one we did was kind of short, but we're going to do another going second hand here. We'll play into another board here. And let's see what we have. We have Revolving Switchyard, Bullet Train, Infinite Impermanence, Brutal Dozer, and a copy of Metal Cruncher. We see that proxy here of Metal Cruncher, so that's kind of nice to see. And, I mean, ideally we could say we're playing against something like Zodiac. So let's say they have just a Trident on their field with maybe like a set Solemn Strike, or maybe an Ash Blossom in hand as well with an Effect Veiler. That's quite a bit to actually have to deal with. You know, that's 3 interruptions right there. But let's see what we can do. So they're just going to get to Trident as easily as they can. And they're not going to really do anything else. They're not going to make Zeus turn 1. We'll draw our 6th card for turn here. So immediately, while we still have the chance, we're going to go ahead and fire off Imperm on that Trident to basically neutralize that threat. But here we do have to worry about playing through, let's say, an Ash and an Effect Veiler. So let's go ahead and start. Well, we don't actually want to start with the Revolving Switchyard. We have to, by nature, start with the Machina Metal Cruncher. We can basically just normal summon it without tributing while we control no cards. So that is going to be the actual first thing that we have to do. Not by choice, but just by sheer mechanics. So we're going to go ahead and normal summon this card out without tributing. And then we're going to reveal 3 machine monsters from our deck. Then our opponent is going to randomly add one of them to our hand. Reveal a Brutal Dozer, a Dara Crane, and since we really don't have too many other fantastic options here because we did just burn our normal summon, we'll reveal, let's see here, we'll reveal the Citadel. Because if we get Citadel to the hand, it's not so bad because we can use Switchyard to discard it to get another search of something. So yeah, let's go ahead and see which one of these we randomly get to our hand. We'll roll a dice here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we get a 1, so we get another Dozer to our hand. And these go back to the deck. So that takes care of that. So our next move at this point is going to probably play Revolving Switchyard. And then we'll use Switchyard here to discard the Tunneler. And I would say that they're probably going to Ash that, because that means we get instant access to the Dara Crane. So now let's go ahead and tribute this off here for the Brutal Dozer. We'll try to activate Brutal Dozer, and we'll say they hit that with an Effect Veiler. So that's not too good. So they pretty much at this point would have no more interruptions. So what we can do now is special summon this Bullet Express Train from our hand. And I guess from here, with the awkward situation that we've been put into, we're going to go ahead and link the Brutal Dozer off to Goliath. And then we're going to link these two off into a copy of the Double-Headed Anger Knuckle. So yeah, we'll link into the Double-Headed Anger Knuckle, and unfortunately I don't think there would be much else that we could do here. I was trying to see if there was a way we could make Tunneler live. But if we use Double-Headed's other effect, you know, we'll just basically make a 1-for-1 trade and not really changing the count in our graveyard. We're just 1 Earth short of being able to use Tunneler. So we just end with a Knuckle. We can clear their Trident as well. And the only thing we have really going for us now in the end phase is being able to add back like Metal Cruncher, because we could probably expect Zeus now that they're playing Zoo. And during their turn, we could also use Knuckle to tribute itself off to summon Bullet Train, to use Switchyard to summon out another one from deck and just try to wall up as much as possible. But then again, we can expect Zeus, which isn't so bad, because that'll make our Metal Cruncher live again, and we'll be able to search out some more cards to hopefully be able to make play. So Zodiac proving to be a little bit too hard there. It really wasn't Zodiac, it was just hand traps. But you know, with that hand, you know, the way it was, the Veiler and the Ash did prove to be somewhat devastating. So let's go ahead and shuffle the deck here up one more time for our last test hand of the video, and we'll see what we can make happen. Alright, so that's enough shuffling. I would say I would simulate playing through Dragon Link, but there's just no way to play through that board, unfortunately. So I'm not even going to bother. So we'll go ahead and draw our last hand here of the video. Bullet Train really likes being glued to my hand, which is not so bad. But our opening 5, we have no interruptions here, unfortunately, and our 6th and final card is a copy of Night Express Knight. So we'll just go ahead and freely play this one out here just to see what like the max capabilities are. So obviously we'll start with something like Urgent Schedule, and then we'll go ahead and summon out my favorite 2 to summon off of the Urgent Schedule, which is both the Trencher and the Harvester, because of course that is going to give us the instant access to use Harvesters on field effect, to be able to get to Brutal Dozer, to get to River Stormer, which is super fun. So we're going to link these off. For the Double-Headed Anger Knuckle, we'll use the Trencher in Graveyard to summon out the Harvester. We'll use Harvester's effect here to go ahead and grab the Brutal Dozer. And we could, of course, also chain block the Harvester before I forget. But we'll use its effect, search Dozer, and then we'll tribute off the Harvester for Dozer. And I believe with that, we do not have any other level 5 targets in our deck that we can legally summon off of Brutal Dozer, which poses a pretty interesting situation that hasn't come up this video. But we're still going to summon Dozer here regardless, because we want a level 5 on the board to be able to at least get access, at least attempt to get access to that of the River Stormer. We haven't normal summoned yet, so we'll go ahead and do that now for the Night Express, and we can just tribute the Night Express off for the Tunneler. And then we're going to overlay the Tunneler and that of the Dozer, which we actually didn't resolve its on-field effect, so we're not actually locked into Earth Machines, I believe. So having that much going for us is nice. But now we'll detach from River Stormer here. We could add a card, but we're still going to go ahead and send, regardless, that copy of Citadel from the deck to the graveyard to have as sort of like a plan B thing that our opponent is going to have to worry about playing through. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and overlay summon the bullet train, rather, my bad. And then we're going to go ahead and overlay into Gustav Max. And if we really want to ensure that we're in a good winning position, 100%, we can link the River Stormer off into Goliath, use Stormer Engrave again to tribute off the Goliath, and then reattach the Goliath to our Gustav to make sure it cannot be destroyed by card effects. From there, we'll go ahead and detach the Derricrane if they have anything on our field that we need to destroy. We can burn for 2,000 and then immediately overlay into the Juggernaut Leave that will have the 3 materials underneath it. We can go ahead and detach the Bullet Train from there to go up to 6k to be able to attack directly, ideally for 6k. And if that doesn't end the turn, we can use the Tunneler Engrave to recycle a lot of stuff. We also have the double-headed Anger Knuckle out on our field, which is not bad either. And yeah, regardless, a pretty solid turn. Also having the Citadel, and then we also again have the Bullet Train Engrave, to be able to add back the Harvester in the end phase, which we could still leave there in the end phase, because if we were to resolve the Tunneler, we could put back 1 Bullet Train, 1 Derricrane, 1 Dozer, and the Night Express. And I guess we could. It really depends here. We could put back any one of these 3, I suppose. I think for the sake of this, we'd probably just go ahead and put back the Citadel, just because be able to add back the Harvester, I think, for a follow-up is probably a little bit more important. And, we get to draw 2 more cards, which in our case is Ash and Gamma, which isn't so terrible. So yeah, that's it for that test hand. Again, just a pretty plain and simple OTK. That's what the deck does. It does it very, very well. And we also, again, had Zeus as an option, like another plan B, potentially, which is pretty cool. Because Zeus is a pretty good card here. So yeah, that's going to do it for this test hand video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. If you want to see, again, this deck in action on my stream, link to my Twitch below. Streaming every Sunday, Monday. And yeah, hope you guys are having a good one. As always, Winter Kill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one. And last but not least, a huge shout out goes to our Divine Level channel members here on YouTube, Academic Thick, Zors, and Cadillacs84. As always, thank you guys so much for your continued and generous support of the channel.